All right, next up to the Thursday night football games now. We got Nebraska beating Cincinnati in Kansas City 20-17. Let's go over the highest grade players, starting off with the Nebraska Cornhuskers, starting off with their linebacker, Vincent Shavers Jr., 90.3. Heinrich Harburg, the tight end, 78.5. Marcus Buford Jr., the corner, 76.6. Andrew Marshall, the safety, 75.4. Luke Lindenmeyer, the tight end, 73.3. And Dylan Raiola with a 62.1 PFF grade. Up next, the Cincinnati Bearcats with their highest grade players, starting off with linebacker Jonathan Thompson, 87.6. Another linebacker right there, and Brian Sims III, 80.5. Safety Xavier Williams, 78.5. Safety Antoine Peak Jr., 76.1. Safety Trevin Gola Callard, 75.5. And then Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback, 69.5. Great day for Cincinnati's back seven of that defense right there.
The middle of that defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that. I want to throw out there, too, a former quarterback, Heinrich Harburg, playing tight end there. Yep. Second highest graded player in his first game as a full-time tight end. So got to like that, too. But this game confused the hell out of me. Going back and even watching it a second time, this game threw me off. Because if you told me that there was a team that held the ball for almost 40 minutes, went 10 for 18 on third down, and was dinking and dunking 4 yards their way down the field every play and just kind of manufacturing offense when they can. If you told me one team did all of those things and won, pre-game I probably would have told you, actually, that's Cincinnati winning.
Yeah.
And it ended up being Nebraska. And they played keep away, which is good because I was assuming that Cincinnati wanted to play keep away, and then they're coming out on their first play, chucking it deep and getting field goal range at the end and chuck it deep and throw an interception. I got almost like this bizarro version of these two teams that I didn't think we were getting, and it ended up being, I thought, even a closer game than it should have been considering how much Nebraska controlled it. But the couple of things that stand out to me, one, I thought Nebraska was almost overly conservative in this game. I think Dylan Raiola's average depth of target was 4.3 yards. And I know it's soft zone defense for the most part, Tyson Veit, Cincinnati's defense, all that stuff. But let him stand in the pocket and take some shots. Like, the once or twice they did it, it worked. And it just felt like Nebraska was content to offensively almost just like not screw it up. And I thought they could have attacked more. Dane Key looked good. Neziah Hunter looked good, right? The running game, even with Emmett Johnson, looked good. But they just never really, like, I come out of this game with Nebraska's offense.
Riley looks like Kurt Mahomes a little bit. How Mahomes dinking and dunking right now.
Yeah. Which, and maybe it's, I don't want to say it's part of the act, but I mean, I come out of this game with Nebraska feeling like they should have won by more. And I don't really know what their offensive identity is. Now, flip side, what this became more so than anything to me, and the spotlight was on Raiola, Nebraska, Arrowhead, all that. This just became a Cincinnati game. And the part where I worried about Cincinnati, previewing them and before the season, talking to some people even around here, was, look, they can run the ball. First of all, they got to choose to run the ball. Yeah. Second of all, I don't know what to make of this passing game. I think at this point, I've got, not just this week, but the second half of last year, I've got like 8 games of proof that this team just can't throw it vertically.
Yeah.
The wide receivers is a group of transfers that are really, they played well elsewhere, but it's not great at this level. Brendan Sorsby, to me, he's just a conservative, efficient passer, but this team just can't push the ball vertically. 10-plus yard throws in this game, 2 for 8, 22 yards, and the interception to end the game. Their inability to push the ball vertically is why all of their games look like this now here in Cincinnati. Scored 17 points in this game. Over the last 8 games, they're averaging 19 points. And it's not the run game. I think, I thought Evan Pryor looked good. I thought Tawi Walker looked good. We know Sorsby can run the ball, but their inability to throw it downfield is what gets them in these games. And when they fall behind, they just can't get back in these games. I think this game, at the end of the day, in a vacuum, this game was about Cincinnati's inability, one, to get Nebraska off the field because Cincinnati has to be the ball control team, and 2, they just can't throw it vertically.
Yeah.
Their wide receivers and Sorsby's just not a vertical passer like that.
Again, my Seth story is Brendan Sorsby, 2.6 yards per pass in this game. They had nothing in this past game. He had 65 passing yards on 25 attempts, a 46.1 passing grade, 64% adjusted completion rate. Now, The final interception, and I tweeted this out, I didn't love the play call from Cincinnati because you're in field goal range, you're down by 3, play for overtime, your run game's been pretty good, see what happens in overtime there. And people were coming at me on Twitter saying it was the right play call, just missed the throw. Well, listen, this is not the kind of ball game you want to do that. And also, if you look back and watch the all-22 of that, Nebraska did an awesome job of rotating into cover 2 on that play, and the safety came over the top and made the pick. So they did a great job of fooling Brendan Sorsby into thinking it was cover 1. They rotated into cover 2 post-snap and got the pick. So didn't like the play call. Brendan Sorsby was not like making those throws either. So some people were like, oh, he just missed a throw. Yeah, he was missing throws all game. That was the whole point of the game. So you got to know what kind of ball game you're in. And I thought, in my opinion at least, play for overtime and see what happens from there. But he only had 2 positively graded throws all night. And also, it's not just him, 45.9 receiving grade for Cincinnati. That's their worst receiving grade in a game in 6 years for that program. And again, going into it, one of our biggest question marks was this passing game with Sorsby and with this receiving core even more. What does it look like? And so far, it doesn't look great for Cincinnati.
No. The team that they have, the preference should never be, unless it's super obvious and you got an opponent overmatched, whoever they're playing next week or whatever. It should not be to chuck the ball downfield.
No.
They just can't. They can't do it. So, and especially, you mentioned it, the run game looked good. They were running the football very well. You get into overtime with 25. Nebraska was the ones manufacturing little bits at a time. Cincinnati was ripping off chunk runs. You get that game to overtime, and you just make the decision, hey, let's take our field goal. Let's go. But understand, it's so often something, understand the game you're in.
Yeah.
And I think Cincinnati, they got to a moment, it was about a 50-yarder where they were at. Okay, pick up 8 to 10 more yards, spike it, kick the field goal, get on with it. To get greedy and take that shot.
Yeah.
Just not.
And it wasn't there either. Again, you watch all 22, it was not there. It wasn't like he was open.
It wasn't
in that play.
there. But it's especially not there because of their personnel.
Yeah.
Brendan Sorsby, I think it's of any Power 4 quarterback with at least 700 dropbacks since 2021. It's the lowest big-time throw rate in the Power 4.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not his game. It's not Cincinnati's game. They got to play ball control. The defense is pretty good. Well, you saw there, the middle of their defense. It's Big Dante in the middle of it at nose. Their defense is pretty good. It really is. Mac McDoom out there at corner. They got good players. But they're constantly in these low-scoring games now. And if they're going to be that, they have to just lean into it. If they want to win football games. Look, the last play of the game, I'll be honest, I knew something was up when the first play of the game, they came out throwing a go ball. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
That team right there, at this point, I'm not throwing unless I'm in third down or I know I got a play action look. I'm not doing it. I'm not trying to throw more than 25 times a game if I'm Cincinnati.
And let's give credit to Nebraska, too, because their coverage was pretty good.
They were spectacular. Yeah. This secondary. I mean, it's been a problem for Cincinnati, and Nebraska was obviously up to the task. You get in man-to-man coverage against Cincinnati, there's a lot of teams winning the battle right now. Nebraska won the battle again. Their secondary they were absolutely terrific. At corners, safeties, everybody. It was lights out on the outside. And again, it's what the last 7 or 8 Cincinnati games have looked like on the outside. Teams that get in man-to-man coverage, they're winning the battle. Nebraska's secondary was terrific. That was actually the best unit in this game. Just a lights-out performance from their coverage unit.
I'm looking up real quick. 89.4 coverage grade for Nebraska is easily the best of the last 2 years. Or not easily, but it is the best of the last 2 years. I'm scrolling right now. I'm keep going.
You're not going to find, if it's 89.4 as a team, you're not going to find very many better than that.
I'm going quickly. Hopefully I can find it real quick. But, yeah, they were out. This was originally my pick to be the most impressive too. But it was incredible out there. I mean, like you said, they were daring Cincinnati, to beat them on the outside, and they just couldn't do it. And that's the biggest reason why Cincinnati just couldn't do anything in the passing game this one. And it actually tied the best coverage grade ever for Nebraska in a game, tied with the game against Purdue in 2014. Again, our first year grading at PFF in college. So tie for the best coverage grade ever, and it's the best coverage grade for Nebraska in 11 years for that program. I'll highlight real quick Emmett Johnson on offense for Nebraska, the running back. He had 108 of Nebraska's 120 rushing yards, 63 yards after contact. Also had 7 catches for 27 yards in this game too. With Nebraska's passing game so slow and so methodical, Emmett Johnson keeping them on schedule was big. And I know it wasn't a great day for Nebraska's offense, but if Raiola was not going to push the ball downfield, and if you're going to throw to your running back 7 times out there, probably even more, I think he had 10 targets total in this game, and also have over 100 rushing yards, he was the star for Nebraska's offense in this game.
I think Nebraska's offensive leadership in general, if Raiola's involved in that, Dana Holgerson, their offensive coordinator, obviously, they need to figure out what their identity is. Because there was kind of an element in this game, too, where it felt like to me they were just kind of running plays. And I didn't see much of the offense kind of going together in sequence. There's a lot that they can get better with. They got talent. They got enough talent. Nebraska has enough talent to be a good offense. The next 2 weeks against lower opponents, I want to really see them figure it out. Yeah. Figure out what we want to do on offense. Because if you just go in week 4, they're playing Michigan. Huge game, good defense. Wink Martindale, that whole thing. You go into that game and you don't really have like a set plan and a way to sequence your offense, you're going to have a problem. Because you're going to need it. You need a plan, right? This game, I'm not saying they didn't. Maybe the game plan was, hey, this is one of these defenses that's drop 8 and it's going to sit back on us, and we'll be conservative. Maybe that was the plan. I want to see this team get aggressive. They're not going to be in Big Ten or playoff contention without Dylan Raiola being their best player. Let him be your best player.
It's good credit to Nebraska, too, because so many people on Twitter pointed out these are always the games in years past that Nebraska would lose. And they finally won this kind of game. And they won these kind of games last year, too. So Matt Rule has this program going in the right direction. But, yeah, new Nebraska now, after so many years of under Scott Frost and even before that, too, where they would just lose these games. You're like, how did Nebraska blow that game? Well, now they're on the winning end of this kind of game, too. So,
and there's more coming. They're going to have to win 3 or 4 more of these. If we want to talk about Nebraska and the ceiling and maybe a 10-2 and sneaky playoff team kind of like that, there's going to be 3 or 4 more of these that they're going to have to win.